Okay, we're going to make a few edits through the notes. The first section, there are no edits. I want you to go down to the graph section. I forgot to put the graphs on the graph beforehand, so we need to add them really quick. Will you put a dot on the 3? And will you put a dot on -4? Let's see, that'll be -7, so 7, 6, 4. -4, -4. And then draw a line. On this graph, it should have already been graphed on here. Will you put a dot on +2? And then put a dot on or -3. On this graph on the bottom left, you need to put a dot on -4. Then place a dot on -5 up 2. For this equation, I'm going to edit it. Will you put a dot on the 4? And -2 up 1, put a dot. So everything we added was not work that you will do. You will not have to graph these on your assignment. They will already be graphed. So I'll give you a second. Will you just fill in those graphs and then we'll start the notes.
I just have this safety folder for you.
Thank you. Does anybody need a set of notes? You need a set of notes? You're good. So those are the only edits. From here on out, this is what your assignment will look like. For the first question, you will be given a triangle. It will want you to find all 3 sides of the triangle. Does anybody know what A to B would be? What would A to B equal? Yeah. 6. That's correct. Good job. A to B would be a measurement of 6. Does anybody know what A to C would be? A to C. Yeah. 5. Perfect. So we're just counting how many blocks there are. Now, to find B to C, does anybody remember what formula we used yesterday? called Pythagorean theorem. What did it say yesterday? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm going to place an X where the blank side is. So my new formula will be 6 squared plus 5 squared equals X squared. The two legs are what I slide in for A and B. 6 squared is 36. 5 squared is 25. How did I find this? What if I don't know what 6 squared is? How can I find it if I don't know it? 6 times 6, 36. Or you can use your calculator. 5 squared would be 5 times 5. Because X squared is alone, I'm going to combine these together, which will give me a 161. To get rid of that power, I square root it, which tells me that is the length for B to C. So in this box right here, I would write that it's the square root of 61. I'm just going to write it as an exact form. On your homework, it will want exact form only, no decimals today. On your assignment, they will mostly look like this one. The next one is a little bit more difficult. So there's one side that's easy to find. Does anybody know which side is the easiest side to do? Yes.
A, B,
Which one?
A, B.
A to B?
Mhm.
What is A to B? What would it equal? 4. Good. Now, there is a little bit of a trick. If I draw the altitude down the middle, what is the length from C to the line? 3. Good. And what did this side change to once I drew that line?
2.
2, because it cut it in half. So would this side also be 2? Yes. The triangles are congruent triangles. When I find this side, I also find what that side is. So whatever I get for X will be those two sides. So I'm going to place an X so I can find what the side length is. 3 squared plus 2 squared equals X squared. 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. Bless you. What is 9 plus 4? Good. Then to get rid of the power, I square root it. Now I found that C to B, or B to C, is that length. Because this uses 3 and 2, and this left side uses 3 and 2, this should also, they should match. So I would fill in root 13 for both. That one is a lot more difficult because you have to build your own line. Are there any questions? All right, go to the set section. We will be drawing parallel and perpendicular lines. If you are not here to copy these in, these should be pre-drawn on your graph. So on your homework, they will give you a line. They will not give you an equation. They will just give you a line. If I want to draw a line parallel to it, I want to draw a line that has the same slope. If I translate this point up 3 and this point up 3, what happens when those points connect? It will create a parallel line. How else could I move the black line? I could move it down. Somebody move it down how far? How far? 2? Down 2? Okay. If I move it down to, is that pink line parallel to the black line? Yes. All you're doing is they're giving you a line and you're like, oh, I'm going to graph one parallel. Click, click, parallel. Done. So on this one, let's say I move it to the right. I'm going to move this dot to the right 2. And I move this dot to the right 2. When I click those on my assignment, it will create a line. It is parallel to it. It's good. Parallel ones are they're fun. They're super easy. All you do is translate a point the same distance away. Bless you. Are there questions on graphing parallel lines? No? Perpendicular is where it gets a little bit tricky. On your assignment, they will not give you these equations. These equations will not be given. So what you'll have to do is find 2 intersecting points that are on whole numbers, and you will need to count. When I find the slope, I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The perpendicular slope, I'm going to tell you what it is, and I want you to tell or look and try and figure out what I did. How did I get the perpendicular slope? How did I go from negative 6 over 5 to positive 5 over 6? Bless you. Anybody? Okay, one thing I did. What did I do? Yeah, so what happened to the 5 and 6? They switched. I took the 5 and 6 and I went, switch. I flipped it, flipped the fraction. One other thing changed. Yeah, the sign. The negative switched to a positive. That's all you do. Flip the fraction, change the sign. There's perpendicular. When I graph it, I will click on one of the points that was already given. You can pick. I could click on this top one, or I could click on this bottom one. I'm going to click on the bottom one. I'm going to go up 5 over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Click, and it autofills a perpendicular line, which makes 90-degree angles. It's really weird at first, so don't stress too much. So we're going to do it one more time. On this graph, my original line is up 3 over 2. Which would give me a positive 3 over 2. Who thinks they know the perpendicular slope? Perpendicular slope. Yeah, what would it be? Negative 2 over 3. I switch my numbers, they flip, and then I change the plus to a minus, which means I can click on either point. I'm going to just start here on this bottom one. I'm going to click here. Then I go down 2 over 3. Click, and it creates a line that is perpendicular. You see why parallel's easy compared to the perpendicular ones? The perpendicular ones are a little weird at first. Are there any questions on perpendicular lines? No? On the back, it says solve each equation for x, then solve the equation for y. We are just going to solve for one letter. I won't make you do both. So this first one, do you want to solve it for x or y? I will let you pick. X? Okay. Solve for x. If I want x by itself, that means I need to get the 2y to the other side. When I move the minus 2y over to the other side, it will change to a positive 2y. So most of us would not show this work. Some of us, we don't have to show that work. We could just say 5x equals a positive 2y with a minus 8 attached to it. Then, my last step to get x by itself, we divide by 5. Does 2 divide by 5? Nope. Does 8 divide by 5? Nope. That's all for x. we're going to solve this one for x as well. So my first step to solve for x is I want to move the y. To move the y, instead of a plus 3y, it'll change to a minus 3y on the other side. What type of 3 is attached to the minus 3y if it doesn't have a symbol on it?
Positive.
Positive, good. It's a positive 3 over here, so it'll just tag on the negative 3y. I then divide by the number on x, which gives me negative 3 over 2y, because that won't reduce. And same thing, positive 3 over 2 won't reduce either, so I just leave the fraction alone.
Aren't we also solving this for y?
So I'm not going to make you do for both. We're going to solve for y on these last two. Did you already do that? Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to save a little time so you guys have more, so you can work. These bottom ones we're going to solve for y. If we are solving for y, that means I want to move the x away. So my positive 3x will change to a negative 3x. This is a minus 2 that says attached onto the negative 3x. Then, do I need to divide by a number? 1, but it's done. 1 wouldn't change it. So because there's no number, wow, if I could spell. Because there's no number on the y, it's done. Solve for y. I want y by itself, so I'm going to move the 4x. Negative 4x with a minus 20. Divide by the number on y. The number on y is a negative 5. What is negative 4 over a negative 5? What do the two negatives switch to? A positive. What do two negatives change to again? Positive. 20 divided by 5 is
4.
When I type it in, I do not need the plus sign there. That's just a reminder that two negatives become a positive.